Manchester United's not going to start building any kind of stadium until the government's rejuvenation project breaks ground. What I think it was is to apply pressure on those government officials to move faster. And it shouldn't be that way. Bruin is not meant to be your best player. Bruin's meant to be your third best player. If we had two better players than Bruin, then Bruin can relax and do his thing. This team needs a lot of work is really what I'm getting at. This team needs a full-on rebuild. My nightmares are like coming true. We're back. It's been a week since I made a video, and a lot of things happened this week. And there's a lot of things that's related to Manchester United on the business end, and there are some things related to Manchester United on the football end. And the football part has been really good. It's getting a lot better under Ruben Amorim. The team is playing much better. The games we had against Arsenal and that last game against Real Sociedad have been great. Some of the players are doing fantastic, and I'm going to talk a lot about that in this video. But we also have to talk about the business end, which for me has been pretty concerning, some of the things that have been coming out. Now, I know some of you guys are excited. I know that some people are really happy with the new stadium and everything else that was talked about this week. But there are some signs that may be concerning for me on the business end. And because we're going to talk about football and business, we've got to figure out which one we're going to talk about first. This being a football channel, of course, we're going to start with the business first. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. Thank you for joining me once again, and thank you for hanging in there with me, even though I haven't been around for a week. I was going to go live on Wednesday on bigup.com, as I try to go live every Wednesday on bigup.com, but I actually had a conference call or a Zoom call with one of the co-founders of bigup.com. Thank you, Ollie, for sitting down with me. Thank you for giving me the time of day and for listening to my thoughts. And we had a really good discussion. I really think bigup.com is going to be going places in the years to come. I mean, they really seem to be doing things the right way and listening to content creators like myself and our ideas, even though I'm nobody. And like, I barely have any subscribers, guys. I'm pretty new to this game, and they were still interested in talking to me and listening to my thoughts and ideas. Anyway, let's get right back to our main topic and subject here. Manchester United and the things that have happened in this past week, and so much has happened. Sir Jim Ratcliffe went around and did some interviews and let us all know the truth about the going on of the business of Manchester United. He let us know why he's been cutting the food supply of the staff. He's been letting us know why he's the great savior that he is, because if it wasn't for him as of December, Manchester United would have been broke. We would have been bankrupt. We might have even ceased to exist, and we'd all have to find another club to root for. Because who knows, the doors would have been closed. We were going so broke if it wasn't for him and his money and his injection of cash. It was really, really sad to see that interview. But there was one part of the interview where he said that if he didn't think he would be the person to save us and to bring us back to our glory days, then he would have just let the Qataris have it or something, which to me felt like he said that as if we were going to be happy about it. But that was it. For me, that was the part of the interview which tells everyone that, yes, there were Qataris involved. They did want the club, and they could have got the club. But this man thought that he knew better on how to resurrect the club and make it go back to its powerful place in the footballing world, if you will. Now, we're done talking about that. I'm not going to talk about the Qataris anymore in this video. But I did want to mention it because he mentioned it in the interview.
Sell it to the Qataris or something.
Basically saying that if he doesn't think that he could help us reach the top of the mountain, he's just going to let the Qataris have it, or he would have let the Qataris have it. But let's get back on topic. They want to rejuvenate that area around Old Trafford. Why? Well, Manchester United, the club, actually owns a lot of land around there, and they can make money from the sale of that land. They keep saying we're going to build a stadium without government money. We're going to build a stadium without government money. Yeah, but if the government goes ahead with their rejuvenation project and they have to move things around and build things in that area, there is lands or plots of land that Manchester United own in that area. They don't just own the stadium. They own plots of land around Old Trafford. They would have to sell that land to the government. So they're going to get top dollar from that. And if they don't sell it to the government, then they would sell it to other interested parties that want to build hotels or restaurants or shopping malls or whatever they're going to build over there, to those interested parties or the government. and get money for it, and then they would use some of that money, or all of that money, but would cover some of the cost of building that stadium. I'm sure the rest of the cost of building that stadium would be in loans, or something else, but they wouldn't be loaning $2.5 billion to build a stadium, because, like I said, they would sell some land off that would probably fund 40 or 50% of the stadium. Is it a good business plan? Yes. Will it, in the long run, make the club worth more, and will it bring in more money revenue for the club? Yes. Oh, hell yes. A lot yes. Yes times 10. For sure, this is going to end up generating a lot of revenue for the club. How many years away are we from that? They keep saying we're aiming for 5 years. I don't believe it. No way. This is a major move that the government has to decide to do. The government has to kind of take the first step here. Manchester United is not going to start building any kind of stadium until the government's rejuvenation project breaks ground, if you will, because they need that money from selling the land first.
Only basis upon which we can build a new one is if it is part of this government regeneration scheme for South Manchester.
That's not going to happen anytime soon. Governments don't move that quickly. I don't know how much pull Sir Jim Ratcliffe has and how much he can influence these people to actually start moving quickly. But I think the whole press conference, all these things that you just saw last week, it wasn't, as some people would say, to spin the fans. What I think it was is to apply pressure on those government officials to move faster. I think all those stories, the press conferences, the presentation showing the stadium off, and then remember, like they said a couple of times, that all of this is based on how fast the politics and government is willing to move to start their rejuvenation project, because this would be a part of the rejuvenation project. This is not the Manchester United Stadium project. This is the, what is it called? I forgot what that area is called. That area's rejuvenation project that the government's heading. The Manchester United Stadium is just a part of that. And if so, that never takes off, the stadium doesn't start getting built. So do you really believe this is going to happen in the next 5 years? No, I don't. I don't think that they will break ground for another 3 years at least. That's just breaking ground, and then add 5 years. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it starts this summer. But when has government ever moved that fast? Especially when it comes to billions of dollars being spent. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. Now, that's not the main concern. That is something that somebody needed to say out loud on video, so I'm saying it. But that's not the main concern. In other interviews and that interview, he said things like he aims to make Manchester United one of the most profitable football clubs, or if not the most profitable football club, in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, what does that entail and what does it mean? The most profitable football club doesn't necessarily mean the one that's winning things. We need to understand that just means they're going to generate a lot of money. They're going to let go of hundreds and hundreds of staff, which they've already have, but they're going to let go of a couple hundred more, and try to drive revenue up by finding new revenue streams. That's why they hired that new guy that Sir Jim Ratcliffe talked about in his interview.
Mark Armstrong from PSG, who's the commercial guy.
They hired a new guy who's coming in. He's going to be like the head of commercial business, basically. So his job is going to be to find new revenue streams. I hope that one of his ideas is going to be to fix the MUTV app and give us better shows to watch. I would gladly pay more money for MUTV, and I'm sure a lot of fans that live abroad that don't live close by the stadium, close by Manchester, don't see the things that are going on in the city of Manchester. If we could have what's that Amazon Prime show that follows along teams, and you have the Wrexham one that they do on Disney and Hulu here. I don't know what they do in your neck of the woods. The Wrexham one done by Ryan Reynolds, and if we had a show like that, like on MUTV, more people would subscribe to MUTV and pay the $5-8. And then if we had more Academy games, which unfortunately we don't have that many Academy games on that app anymore. It used to be better. If we had more Academy coverage, and they could even have a Wrexham-like show, or I forgot what, nothing, all or nothing like show like they have on Prime Video about the Academy players, not just the senior players. So they could have one for the Academy players and one for the senior players. That app would blow up. Imagine if 500,000 people subscribed and paid $5 a month to subscribe to that, and cheaper in other countries. Like For an American, paying $5 a month is not a big deal, but in other countries, the equivalent of whatever it feels like to pay $5 a month for an American, that's a lot of money. I think a quarter of a million people would definitely subscribe, if not a half a million people. And they wouldn't even have to go out and script these shows. They just need to have cameras following these players around, asking them for interviews every once in a while, which they already do. They just don't format it in the right way, and it's actually not that compelling. I have the MUTV app, and I barely turn it on. I turn it on to watch replays of games so that I can make these videos and watch things like that. Some games I prefer to watch on MUTV because I like the announcer more than the American announcers on some of the coverage. Some, not all, of the coverage that we get here in the US. But with that said, like, I don't think anybody's thinking about that, even though I really think that's a revenue stream that's not being explored the right way. And that app or that station or whoever's producing content for that station is really not that good. You need to get, they're like, no offense, not to toot the American horn, but you need to get an American in there and let them do their thing. Just like the David Beckham documentary that was done for Netflix last year, that was done by an American producer who knew nothing about football. It's just the guy knows how to make good content. You need to get you, and I'm not saying it has to be American. It doesn't have to be, but get someone good and let them head that department. And if he does some good things for you, if he produces 2 good shows for you, you're going to get more subscribers and raise more money. So anyway, that's not why we're here. But it is something that's been on my mind for years and years. So I wanted to bring it up. And this is finally the kind of video that I can bring it up in. The thing that concerns me is when they talk about all these things is I've always had a concern that they're not going to go after our first choice signings. They're not going to bid the kind of money that's going to be needed to win over those kind of signings. And we're starting to see it now. Listen, guys, I didn't mean for this video to take a week to come out. I actually did shoot a video, but I'm using new equipment. I'm trying to use OBS instead of the camera. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but anyway, I'm trying to record through the computer, make it sound better. A lot of people have complained about my mic sound before in past videos. And I'm trying to make this streamlined so I can record more often so that I can go live every once in a while on YouTube. So I've been working on new apps, and I had to upgrade my computer too. And I tried my first recording. If we watched the Sir Jim interview, you saw him talk about financial problems. So as you can see, it was bad. But in that video, I already talked about some of the things I'm bringing up now before the news. Like before we heard that Kenda's going to Chelsea, I said this. Just 2 weeks ago, we were all excited about the prospect of signing Geovany Quenda, who's definitely playing like a young superstar in the making. Then we hear that INEOS intend to make an offer for Quenda for like 25 million pounds. Which I can tell you when I read that, I was already like, oh my God, we're not signing this kid. That offer is going to be laughed at. This kid is worth at least 35, if not 45 million. So what happens next? We start hearing stories about our interest in a 19-year-old Braga right wing back named Roger Fernandez, who would be way cheaper compared to Quenda. Roger would be a better fit than Delo for sure. The truth is we probably need to sell Delo and get both Quenda and Roger, but Lord knows we won't be doing that. It would be way too smart, and we don't do too smart. If we're lucky, we'll do smart. My nightmares are like coming true, basically. My nightmares are coming true. Like Kenda's going to Chelsea because of 5 or 10 million euros. Guys, please don't. There are YouTubers out there that are going to sit there and bullshit and tell you guys that, oh, Ebola says that Chelsea's going to pay 100 million euros. No, Chelsea's not going to pay 100 million euros for Quenda. That's not happening. It's 40 to 50 million, 45 to 50 million, just like David Ornstein said. I'm going to listen to David Ornstein, not Ebola of Portugal. Okay, David Ornstein said 45 to 50 million. He gets to stay there for 1 more year, sure. But we could have, if we bid the same thing and he wanted to come play for Amorim, maybe we could have got him. And there's going to be other guys who are going to run with the agenda that the story is that he wanted to go play for Maresca because he wanted to play as a winger and not as a wing back. He wants to play up front as a winger, not as a wing back. Guys, before I say much more about that, can somebody give me an example of when a player has come out, a player that's young, a player who's still building his career, not someone who's old, who's on his last contract? When has a player or an agent come out and said, oh, we're going to so-and-so club because they're giving us more money or they offered more money? Never, ever. They're going to come out with a footballing decision. They're going to tell you things like, or because they have Champions League, or because I'm going to play in a position I want to play in. They're never going to sit there and go, well, they offered more money. That's why I'm going there. You think he doesn't like playing for Amarim? Like he's like, oh, actually, I think I'd rather go play for Maresca as a winger who may or may not be there. Because I don't know, man. Like I'm not buying it. For me, it comes down to money, just like Joao Neves came down to money. Joao Neves came down to money. We ended up letting him go to PSG, and we got Ugarte for 10 million less. We're now letting Quenda go to Chelsea for 10 million less. That's it. It's a money thing. The man was in countless interviews this week, the man being Sir Jim Ratcliffe, was in countless interviews this week talking about money. He didn't talk about football that much. He said we need to get the recruitment right. We've been wasting money on bad recruitment. He didn't say it. He said it in terms of wasting money on recruitment. He basically saying, I don't want to overpay to recruit. Also, there were stories that we were going to pay 35 million or tops 40 million for Quenda. That was never going to make that deal happen. Ever. Never was Quenda going to leave for 35 or 40 million euros. Let's get that straight. If Chelsea didn't offer 50 million, Bayern Munich would have offered 50 million. Somebody would. This kid is good. He's really good. He's good. He's not just like, oh, he's good. No, this kid is good. And as long as he doesn't get injured in 2 or 3 years, he's going to be great, basically. We were never going to do it for 35, 40 million. So I went out on Twitter and I tweeted, I don't think we're going to get any first choice signings with INEOS. I really don't. That's my fear. Am I wrong? I hope I am. But my fear is we're not going to get any of our first choice signings with INEOS, that we're always going to need to have the backup signing that no one else is bidding for. We will only get first choice signings, in my opinion, if no one else is bidding for them. And then someone replied, and a couple of people liked this guy's reply, and he said, well, Euro was wanted by PSG and Real Madrid, and we got Euro. First of all, I love Lenny Euro. Lenny Euro is amazing, and I really have high hopes that in the next 5 years, Lenny Euro is going to be one of the best center backs in world football. With my bias still there, that me loving him and me being so happy that he's on our squad, that's not a good example to give me because no one bid for Lenny Euro. Yes, Real Madrid was interested, but Real Madrid was asking him to play for 1 more year and come for free. So they weren't actually bidding for him. And PSG was sniffing around. They never put in a formal bid for Lenny Euro. We were the only ones who bid for Lenny Euro, and we got him. And some people say we overpaid for him. We did not overpay. Okay, if you want to think about the fact that he was in his last year of his contract and you could have got him for free a year later, maybe you'll think you overpaid. But all things being fair, forget the years of his contract and when he had left, paying 50 million for Lenny Euro is not a bad deal, just like paying 50 million for Quenda is not a bad deal. But nobody was bidding for Lenny Euro. I don't know if we would have got Lenny Euro if Real Madrid was ready to actually pay 50 million for Lenny Euro. Do you really think we would have got Lenny Euro if Real Madrid put down 50 million and said, all right, we'll pay it. We're not going to take him for free next year. We'll just buy him right now. No, we probably wouldn't have got him. And that's the scary part of this coming summer, because this coming summer needs to be a big, big, big summer. Big summer in so many ways. We need at least 5 players this summer. At least 5 players who are ready to come and join the first team and be in the starting 11. At least 5. Or we're screwed. We're in 15th or 14th place. Whatever the hell. I'm not even looking at the table because it's depressing every time I look at it. We're really bad. We're not even in the top half of the league. Forget the top 6 or 7. We're nowhere near that. We're going to need a big summer. Aston Villa is going to bring in players. Nottingham Forest is going to bring in players. And I haven't even named the usual top 5 yet. These 2 teams are also fighting to be in the top 5. And then you've got the usual top 5 who are going to bring in players. Liverpool didn't spend any money last summer. Barely. I don't even know if they bought it. They barely spent money last summer. They didn't buy anybody in January. They're going to win the league. They're going to strengthen. I'm sure they're bringing in 1 or 2. They're letting Salah go and maybe even Van Dijk go. they're going to strengthen. And I know some of us are going to think, well, it's going to be a rebuild without Salah, without Van Dijk. They might not be the same. And it's true, they might not be the same, but they also can probably bring in 4 players to test them out and see who's going to take up the mantle. They're not going to be a bad team. They're definitely going to be in the top 4 next year. Man City has already spent a ton of money in January. They're going to strengthen some more in the summer. And then you've got Arsenal. Arsenal is going to finally get Arteta the striker that he probably wants. And it might even be Gyökeres. And the reason why Gyökeres wouldn't be coming to us and going to Arsenal, because Arsenal might actually put a bid in. And then we would go, well, we're not paying that. And that's it. And then Osimhen, we may or may not get him, depending on if Napoli wants Rasmus or not. Basically, what I'm saying is the only way we're getting like a high, good player is if the other team is interested in one of our players, or if we can sell on one of our players for a lot of money and decide to use that lot of money on one player instead of spreading it around for a bunch of players, which I think is what the actual intent of INEOS would be, unless somebody does something. I don't know. I don't even know. Guys, tell me if I'm out of my mind here. Get in the comments. Let me know if I'm out of my mind, but that's where my brain is. My brain is in this very, very cautious place after reading all the Sir Jim Ratcliffe interviews, after seeing some of those interviews on video and hearing him talk about money and finances and how we're in dire need of changing things and it's going to hurt for a while and it's not going to be pleasant and the decisions are hard decisions that need to be made. Yeah, but is this manager going to get a real shot at finishing in the top 4 next season? That's really my big concern. We might not have any European football. With that said, we are going to talk about the football a little bit later, and we're going to talk about how we're actually doing good in Europa League. And I actually have half a hope that we might even win the thing if we keep progressing in the way we're playing. And we'll get to that. We are going to get to that. If we keep playing better, by the time the Europa League semifinals and finals come around, we might be in good form to go ahead and go win this thing, which I think changes our summer plans a little at least. You got to think to yourself, wait, we can make a lot of money in the Champions League next year if we get out of the group stage or whatever you want. If we advance to the later stages of the Champions League, let's give him at least 2 pieces that might cost us big money, and then give him another 3 or 4 pieces that don't cost so much. I think their ideal number to spend on a player is 30 million. That's what they're kind of showing us. They wanted to bid 34 million for Quenda. They said they wanted to only pay 30 million for Dorgu. That's why they didn't go after Nuno Mendes. A lot of people will say Nuno Mendes wasn't for sale. Nuno Mendes was for sale. Every PSG player is for sale for the right amount of money if that player wants to leave. Nuno Mendes was for sale, but he was for sale for 50 million. And we didn't want to pay over 30 million. So we dropped the Nuno Mendes deal and we got Patrick Dorgu for 30 million or whatever it was that we ended up paying after also negotiating with the club that we got Dorgu from, because our initial bid got rejected. We want to bring in players on low bids. We want to pay low wages. I understand that, but it can't be like that for every single player we bring in because our team sucks. We need to get players, at least 2, that are better than Bruno Fernandes. I say this all the time. I've been going live a couple of times on other people's channels. I've been lucky enough to get invited, and thank you very much to those of you who have invited me on your channel. If you happen to be watching this video, thank you. I appreciate every single time somebody invites me on and lets me basically say what I say on their own channel. And I've been saying things like Brun gets a lot of hate, but Brun is only getting a lot of hate and only getting noticed when he has a bad game because he's our best player. And it shouldn't be that way. Brun is not meant to be your best player. Brun's meant to be your 3rd best player. If we had 2 better players than Brun can relax and do his thing, and he would probably do really, really well. But Brun's trying to be the guy who gets us out of a rut every time we're playing bad, and that's when he gets exposed. When he's trying to do everything, he's trying to find that crazy pass, he's trying to score that crazy goal, he's trying to get us out of trouble because he's our best player. And it's not the role that he's best for. He's the supporting cast. He's the Scottie Pippen. He's not Michael Jordan. He's not really even Scottie Pippen, to be honest with you. He's more like Ron Harper, if you guys know that Bulls team, or Tony Kukoc, who's good, really good, but not the best player. There should be two other superstars that are on that team that everybody's watching out for. And the reason why the football's gotten better, I'm just going to transition right into the football here. The reason why the football's gotten better, to be honest with you, is because Casemiro is better at some things than Ugarte is. Ruben Amorim has found out how to best use Casemiro. That's my opinion. Ruben Amorim has found out that like Casemiro can actually be used a little bit like Hjulman did in Sporting. You can leave Casemiro in the back and give him some space. Get Bruno a little bit out of there so that Casemiro has some space at the bottom of a diamond. Damn, I should have edited the video so you guys can see the players in the shape I'm talking about. So Bruno moves out a little bit and the center backs stay back, which gives Casemiro space in the middle. And then Casemiro's been quarterbacking the team in ways that Ugarte cannot. Ugarte is just not that kind of player. Ugarte needs Federico Valverde on the Uruguay team to be the quarterback. He's the one who runs around, destroys things, and then he passes it. Mostly shorter passes, mostly moving the ball sideways. And Federico Valverde is the one who quarterbacks the team, sending it left, right, and so on, and making sure that the ball's moving to both sides of the field. That's what Casemiro was doing in the last game really well against Real Sociedad, and he did a little bit of that against Arsenal too, actually. And he's not even that good a quarterback, but he's a better quarterback than Ugarte. Casemiro is playing kind of like the Tony Cruz role, and he's not even the Tony Cruz, right? He's the Casemiro, but he's gotten older, and he doesn't have the legs to run around like old school Casemiro used to, but he is smart enough and good enough with the ball, on the ball, and with the pass that he's playing the Tony Cruz role. It showed me that he actually needs a quarterback. He actually needs someone who can do what Ugarte does, basically have legs and cover ground, but also who can ping passes left and right. Man, that's a difficult thing to come to terms with because Ugarte is a brand new player who's actually not that bad. Either Ugarte's got to learn how to ping passes and learn how to quarterback the team a little bit better, or we're going to need to get a center defensive mid who can cover a lot of ground and quarterback the team, and then someone's playing next to him who can carry the ball and drive us forward with on the ball basically, and really good at the short passes. This team needs a lot of work is really what I'm getting at. This team needs a full-on rebuild. We're not going to be able to do the whole thing in one summer, but we definitely need to do at least half the work this summer so we can finish the work next summer. And half the work is still a lot of work. A lot of work. We need 2 number 10s. We need a striker. We need a right wing back, which we thought was going to be Quenda. We need a center back because Maguire is getting old and we've got 2 center backs leaving in Johnny Evans and Lindelof. So we need at least 1 center back. And Aiden Heaven is great. He's really good. I like Aiden Heaven. But we have Aiden Heaven and we have Lenny Yoro as young center backs. We should not be signing another young center back. We need to bring somebody with more legs than De Ligt and someone who can distribute at center back who's at least 22 years old, which is still young. So he's at least 22 years old, can distribute the ball, and has legs so that we have center backs. Like, we need it. And it could be left-footed or not. Now that we have Aiden Heaven and he's comfortable on the left side, and I'm sure, hopefully, Lisandro Martinez will be healthy next season, so we'll have 2 left-footed ones ready to go. Other than that, we need center midfielders. We need a quarterback, like I said, and we need someone who can carry the ball progressively from the center mid position. We're basically talking about almost a full-on rebuild. Almost 8 players that are needed that can come in and start for us or compete for starting positions. Half of those players can be young. Half of those players can be under 25 or even more than half. But we need at least 2 or 3, like I said, who are better than Bruno Fernandes in world football. And so that Bruno can be that supporting role for those superstars to shine. He can be the guy who puts that ball for them on a plate for them to go ahead and shine and finish it off. And I think he would be amazing at that role because that's his role in the Portugal team. And he's really good when he plays for Portugal. In our team, he gets all the attention of the opponent, which makes it really hard for him to have a good game. Guys, this is already been a long video and I got more to say. So I'm going to make another video this week. You're not going to have to wait a week to hear me talk once again. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Drop a like or subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you are new to the channel, go back and check out some of my old videos about tactics and stuff like that. I will be back very soon. Thank you so much for being patient with me. And I will be live on Wednesday at bigup.com, but I'll make a video before Wednesday here again. And guys, let me know in the comments if you're willing to come on and watch me live on YouTube on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. my time, which is around 4 or 5 p.m. UK time. And if that's not a good time, let me know what is a good time in the comments. If you watch live content, if you're the kind of person who watches United Stand or United View or the Muppeteers or anybody live, and you like that kind of stuff where I can read your comments live and we can have a discussion back and forth. Let me know in the comments of this video what days and times work for you. I want to see who is around on what days, and whichever day gets the most. If I'm not working that day, then that's when I'll go live. Now, I do work 5 days a week, and my only days off are Friday and Saturday and Wednesday mornings. I go to work very late on Wednesdays. That's why I'm able to go live on Big Up, and then I run right to work right after I'm done. And again, thanks for being patient with me. Realize that I have another job. I haven't made a single dollar doing YouTube. I haven't made $1 yet, even though you see the ads. I haven't made any money doing this. So this is just something I do as a hobby, but I do want to do more of it, and I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I will be back soon. Thanks. Bye.